So Mama Bear, why are you and your family canning so much food? How can you possibly eat all that food? What do you do with it all? So I'm just going to give you a couple quick, simple facts. We are canning. Yeah, we're canning. So I thought that I would just break down some numbers for you because a lot of people this week have said, what are you doing with all that food? Like, why are you canning so much food? Do you like hoard it? Do you keep it for like, what are you saving it for? Like some apocalypse or something? The answer is no. We eat our food. So we are eating. Sorry, you guys are sliding around. I had to plug in. So we are eating our food on a daily basis. So let me just give you a couple examples here. So soup. To make a soup for our family, which in the wintertime we normally eat, I would say probably 3 times a week. We would have some soup or stew or something like that for either lunch or dinner. For that, I would use 10 quarts of products if I was just doing quarts. That might look like, okay, I'm going to have 2 quarts of meat, 4 quarts of broth. That would be 6, and then 4 quarts of various vegetables. I can even go higher than 10 quarts. I am just giving you like an overview of what it could potentially look like. So, say I just used for like number purposes, right? Okay, that's a little bit better. For number purposes, that I use 10 quarts of product 3 times a week. Now, mind you, this is only for 3. I might be able to stretch this to maximum 6 meals. We're only talking about like a very small portion of our meals, okay? So let's just say that we use 10 quarts 3 times a week. And that would equal 30 quarts. My brain is tired today, so I wrote things down. So we eat 30 quarts per week. If you were to times that with 52 weeks in a year, you are looking at 1,560 quarts. 1,560 quarts just for those 3 meals. And you're worried about the couple hundred that I'm doing in a week? Yeah. The problem is for one, we don't, in society, we don't can a lot, right? So a lot of stuff doesn't look like it's canned, and we just go to the grocery store when we need more food, so we stock up, and we don't see what we actually eat for the year. Goodness. We don't see what we actually eat for the year. It's more like just a general, I don't eat that much, or you think that you don't eat that much. Okay, I'll just give you an average. I looked this up. Meat consumption on the average American is 225 pounds per year. And if I took that 225 pounds per meal, oh my goodness, can you imagine? The 225 pounds per year per person times 14, because there's 14 people in our immediate households, you are looking at 3,150 pounds of meat. So if you took that, just think for one, how many animals I would need to grow for 3,000 pounds of meat. That's a lot. So for me to say that we're putting a couple animals in the freezer is not all that much. So 3,150 pounds of meat that would be needed for the average American. Obviously, I have some smaller people, but we're not eating a lot of high carb things that fill you with empty carbs. So we're probably eating that. I don't really know. I have not done this. I kind of know how many animals I need to grow. I know that I probably need to grow 3 cows, 4 pigs, 300 chickens-ish, and then side animals as far as meat goes. Anyhow, I'm not at that point, so I'm still buying meat. if we were to take that 3,150 pounds of meat and can all of that meat, instead of putting it in the freezers, if we canned it all, that would be 1,575 quarts. So if we had 1,575 quarts of that, and then we're having soup once a week, we're looking at over 3,000 quarts that we need. That has nothing to do with any other meals. So that, my friends, is why I need to can that much food, because we eat it. A lot of times we don't realize when we're a consumer and we go to the grocery store and we're just purchasing for meals, whether it be for a meal for the day or a meal for the week, we don't realize how much we're eating. And even if you're a vegetarian, like, you don't realize how much that you're eating of certain products, because it's not like you tally like, okay, I've had 4 pounds of beans, I have had, this amount of carrots or whatever it is. Like, it's not like we're tallying up every single time that we eat. But it looks big. All my friends that homestead, like real life homestead, I'm not saying like YouTubers, I'm saying real life homestead, like they're out there growing their own food on a daily basis. Their amounts that they are canning is hundreds. Their freezers are not one. Their freezers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freezers, depending on what they do. I do not want to buy more than 3 freezers. Reason being, okay, so I realized while I was editing this that I never actually did tell you guys why I have 3 freezers. I have 3 freezers because for me, that's enough that if power went out, that I would be able to can that amount in the set amount of time in the winter. So in the winter, sometimes I would have like freezing times or whatever that like I'd be able just to leave them unplugged. But if I lost power and needed to can up the stuff that were in my freezers, 3 freezers is my max. And that would probably be some waste. So I keep 3 freezers because that's all that I feel like I can handle. Some people do like up to 5 freezers. I just worry, I don't have generators to run my freezers. I do have a generator that if I needed to run, like say one of them, as I was canning, I could do that. But I don't have enough that I could just run my freezers like forever. So yeah, that is why I keep what I keep in my freezers, and how many freezers that I do. So you guys do what works for you guys, and I'll do what works for me. I'm doing well this morning. See my eye? I am so allergic to this stupid ragweed, and my eyes every morning are so itchy and they feel like so swollen. It's not just in the morning, it's like throughout the day. So if you see my eyes swollen because of the ragweed, that is what is going on. I think this also is hard. I totally forgot where my train of thought was going. There was a little like figurine type thing that lost a leg and somebody needed some glue to glue it back on. Real life. I think a lot of times when people are trying to prepare their pantries, they see like these big lists and they think that they need to just go off these big lists, but you really should know what your specific family consumes. You should know how much grains, like for us, we are trying not to eat that much grains, okay? So my main source of food that I want is going to be meat and vegetables. Am I going to store grains? Do I store grains? Yes. But I store grains that I specifically am going to use. If I have lots of people that are gluten intolerant, I am not going to store 2 tons of wheat. It's not happening. I'm storing food that 1, I can rotate through, and 2, that our family will eat. So that's important if you guys are storing food as well. Make sure that you're doing what works for your household and for your specific family. And then store way more than you think that you eat. I know I'm not going to say names, but a family member, and they're like, I don't eat that much, so I'm just going to get whatever to store food. And it's like, okay, you're going to eat, if you were actually doing this for real, you're going to eat way more than that. And I think that we all know people like that, and maybe that's us. I didn't realize that we ate so much food until I was trying to actually grow our own food. And when I realized, even last year, we're going back into this, right? So my son passed away in 2022, and we scaled back a bunch. So a lot of my supplies were not at the tippity top. We did not have that good of a year last year. I think I canned under 800, I'm pretty sure. We ran out of a lot of stuff. I ran out of spaghetti sauce. I ran out of applesauce. Now, I canned over 300 quarts of applesauce, and we ran out of it. But think of this. If we're having 2 cans of applesauce, 2 quarts of applesauce at a snack or at a meal, how long is 300 going to last? 150 snacks or meals. Okay, well, if you had that once a day or whatever, do you see where I'm going with this? Like, you have to think through all the little things. A couple jars on your counter, it's wonderful that you are learning how to can. But once you learn, try to figure out how much you actually eat. And maybe that means you just want to get like more rice and beans because you eat more rice and beans. Okay, then grab more rice and beans at the store. I'm not saying that you have to can it, but be realistic in the food that you actually are eating. So I'm answering this question because I posted a lot of Every Bit Counts stuff out there, and people are like, whoa, I can't believe that you guys would eat that much food. Like, how do you eat that much? Like, we're like really like these massive like people that are just like rolling around because we have so much food, but it's not. It's real food, and we eat a lot of it. We're a lot of people. So I also want people to recognize for themselves and for their families how much they actually eat, because it might be good to buy a half or a quarter of a cow, but if you are substituting all these other meats that you buy from the grocery store, you're not getting a full scope of how much you eat. I remember we had 6 or 7 kids, and I thought that if we butchered a cow, that would last us a year. So we butchered the cow, and it was gone in 4 months. And I was like, whoa, where'd that go? It was a big cow. We had hundreds of pounds of meat, and it was gone. And it was like, oh, goodness. I know if I'm growing a cow or cows that we probably would need 3 good-sized cows to last us for the year, if not more. But that's my, like, baseline goal, you know? So I'm always, and if we did really good this year in green beans, say, I'm going to put up all those green beans that I possibly can, because next year it might not be so good. My tomatoes have not done super well this year, but I did get a bunch now. I'm so glad that we ended up spraying those, because that did help a lot. So thanks to Large Family Homestead for mentioning that. And make sure you check out their channel. They just reached 10,000. Yay! So shout out to them. She had sprayed hers, and I watched her thing, and I was like, oh, I'm going to try that. And I tried it, and it actually did work really well for us. I'm quite pleased with those things. So, yeah, I just want you guys to get a full scope, understand, keep your eyes open, and have a blessed and wonderful night.